Hey everybody. Um, I am excited to tell you about some new features that we've developed for the site that we have. This is something that I spend a lot of time to do, so it's really exciting to be able to share them with all of you because I think it's going to make classes easier to deliver. So we created the STEM coding project in 2017. That was the launch of the YouTube channel, and we created all these videos that you see here, video after video after video, and submitting things to ourcode.com. And when we started in 2017, there wasn't a whole lot on ourcode.com, and especially that related to math and science, and so that was kind of our goals. And then in 2020, I don't know if you know this, but a pandemic hit, and something that we did that year that was important was that we took some classroom management software that had been developed at Ohio State University, and we made it available to people, to high school teachers, for example, through a nonprofit that we created called STEM Coding Education Ohio. So this is separately from the university, but the nonprofit is me. It's Rochelle Tilling-Smith, and then we have a board of directors that's a bunch of professor-type people for the most part. And so in 2020, we created this website to help people integrate these activities in their classes. And the basic idea of it was that it's overall pretty difficult to integrate these things into courses. There's if you're going to ask a student to do something, you're making a commitment to giving them feedback and grading whatever it is that they're doing. And if you don't grade it and you don't give them detailed feedback, the students will often figure that out and they'll just sort of blow things off, right? And so you really need an organized way to provide them with that feedback. And there's another video where I kind of outline, the site. So the site is stemcoding.herokuapp.com, and students can either create an account without Google by clicking this link, or if they have a Google account, they can sign in that way. So this site has been around since 2020, and in 2022, it became connected to this Ohio Department of Education initiative for discrete math, and so thanks to that connection, we've been making a lot of improvements, is what I'll say. And I'm excited to tell you about a lot of those improvements. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about, that if you were using the site in 2020, that these are things that we've changed since that time. So the first thing we've changed is that there actually now is a password reset option. So if your students were logging in without Google, and they provided a password, so if they were signing up this way, one of the problems of the way the system used to work is that once you set that password, if you forget it, you're stuck. And even me as administrator, I can't really I'm not very good at figuring out what those passwords would have been. And there was kind of a password reset thing, but it didn't work. Well, now it does work. So if you forget your password, you really can go into that. It will send you an email. There'll be a link in that email that will allow you to change your password, get back into the system, that sort of a thing. Just be aware that often the emails that this website is going to send you often goes to the spam filter, so don't just check your inbox, check your spam filter as well for that email if you're going to do it. So that's a brand new feature. I finally got that working. I'm really excited about that one. Let's go ahead and log in. I'm going to walk you through all the different things that we've improved with this thing. All of the STEM coding activities that I've developed are here, and also the activities that were created as part of this committee with the Ohio Department of Education are available on the site. So I'm going to go ahead and click Student so I can show the student experience. We're going to talk about the teacher improvements in just a minute. So this is what mine looks like. So I use this thing for all sorts of stuff, for physics stuff and discrete math stuff, and so on. So let me give you an example from the student perspective of how things have changed and improved. So I'm going to click on this activity. This is a discrete math activity. And the first thing that's changed is really simple, but it used to be that when you clicked this link to open up the code, that there would be this intermediate screen that would list the file names, and the only thing the student could do would be to click edit. And it was, the students weren't necessarily clear that that's what they should do. At one point, they were wondering, like, should I download the files? Well, now that screen is just completely skipped, and you go straight to the code editor. So as soon as you click it, go straight to the code editor. So that's an improvement. The next improvement is this Save Project button. If you click Save Project, as of, I think, about a month ago, now it will sort of pre-populate this project name. Before, it would just sort of give you this blank thing, and it was something that you were supposed to communicate with your students. Well, you should probably put the name of the activity up here, that sort of thing. But now it will pre-populate it for you, but you can still change. It says feel free to change and modify. So for this, I don't feel like I need this whole part. Half checkerboard challenge. Maybe this is what I regard as version 1.0. Right, so I can still change that, but it's nice that it's pre-populated, because if you wanted to just click through and say that's good enough, then that would work. So now I'm going to click Save Project. Now I get to this screen. This screen is actually different than it was in 2020. So it used to be that on this screen it only showed you these projects, and by the way, the teacher cannot see the saved projects. The teacher can only see the submissions. And so on this screen now, instead of just showing the projects, it now shows the projects and the submissions, the things that you've submitted to, which I think is kind of nice because it's just sort of all in one place. So it's a little bit misleading now that it says projects. I think that this should now say my work. So over the summer, I'm probably going to change this label to my work. But in any case, that's what's there. And so the project that I just saved is right here. And I'm going to show you the next improvement that we made, which is that when you go to submit a project, and I hope you find these directions to make some sense. Again, the idea is that you open up a code, you save a project. Again, the teacher can't see the project until you submit it, so if you click submit, then that project becomes a submission. It still stays here, but now it's submitted to the teacher and it jumps over here. And so it becomes a submission, and then the submissions you can view the submission, you can modify, that sort of thing, resubmit it as you need it. So, all right, so that's the project page. The improvement is, so let's say you go and you click submit here. So the next page is going to pop up. There we go. Despite the fact that I'm enrolled in like 1,000 courses, this thing knows exactly which programming activity that the code came from. Before, it would not give, it would leave it to the user to decide which was the correct programming activity, even though it's pretty obvious which one it should be because of the one you clicked from it. So that would just create headaches, and students would often submit to the wrong assignment, and it was not a lot of fun. So that's what you can do, and so you can go down here and click Save Project. At some point, we added the ability to have web links. So this is for whatever you want to use it for. So maybe a student wants to give you a shared Google Doc or a link to a Google Sheet, a link to an Excel spreadsheet, whatever they want to do. But anyway, so now you can click Submit Project, and then that submission goes to the place that it's supposed to go. So that part's the same, but it automatically selected it. Now I could have selected something else. I could have gone up here and said, well, it's highlighted this, but I really wanted to submit it to that for some reason. I can do that, and that's okay. But now at least it will pre-populate that. So I can go back over here and go to my projects and see that yes, a moment ago I submitted to this activity, Half Checkerboard Challenge, and I can see the submission. All right. Still more new features, all right? So the submission, I forget, you can click on the submission, see the submission. You could always see that before, but we added edit this submission. So if you want to continue working, so for example on this screen you often have comments from the instructor on what to improve. Well, if you want to keep working, go ahead and click edit and continue working. And there you go. I'm going to try to leave this page. You can also click here and view all my submissions for this particular assignment. So I've had 3 submissions to this one. So that's another nice thing that's there. So those are 2 buttons that we added that we hope that you find to be helpful. All right, so continuing to go down the list here, something else that we've improved is that it used to be that the submission date and time didn't even necessarily appear here. I think it did appear. It did appear here. It did appear, yeah. So these dates and times, these used to be like, London Greenwich time, UTC time. These are all now your local time, so you don't have to like do the conversion in your head. So that's pretty common sense. So that's improved now. And then another cool thing is that, let's say you do decide to edit a code. I don't know how many people are going to use this option, but if you click download for offline, so because we're using JavaScript can run in the browser, even if the browser is not connected to the internet, but only if you have a copy of the library, and in this case P5JS. If you have a copy of the library that's on your computer, and if you have the copies of these codes on your computer, then you don't actually need to go fetch the library from the server, the P5JS library from the server. You can just run it locally, and you can do that by basically double-clicking the index.html file just by opening up an HTML page. You can run that JavaScript. So now if you click download for offline, you'll see a zip file there. So probably not a lot of people are going to use this, but if somehow you knew that there were frequent internet outages in your building, then this would be something that you could potentially use to take advantage of that and allow the students to continue working on their codes. So that was pretty cool. So we improved that for sure. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about the features that we've improved just for teachers. So, so going back here, so now I'm going to go to the teacher dashboard. The first big improvement that's worth mentioning is that teachers can now clone programming labs, as long as they have permission. So if you send me an email through the support thing, teachers can now clone those assignments. All right, so I'm going to go here. So here's a random activity that I have. And down at the bottom, yep, there you go. So you see the clone there. That if you click that, then that will create your own version of that assignment that only your students can see. So not everybody's going to see it, but your students will be able to see it, and so you can customize things that way. So that's a big improvement, because I'm better than average in making these activities, but I'm not as good as you are for customizing them for your classes. So that's a big improvement that I'm quite proud of. Another big improvement is that from the beginning we used to recommend to people like, okay, well, you probably want to add we would tell teachers, try to add yourself as a student to your own course, or even register 2 emails in the system, one for you're doing your grading, and the other one for just trying to see if things are set up correctly as a student. And one of the reasons had to do with this screen. And so it was confusing to people that this screen, you could see that there's a code here, you could see that there's files here, but if all you wanted to do was just open up these codes and run them in the editor, there wasn't a way to do that. So instead there was all this stuff about like, okay, students can see it. Everything's set up. Okay, well that's great. But I just want to get in here and I just want to mess with this code. And so now you can click here and it'll just open up the code. Now the thing is that this code, if you save it, it's not going to affect the activity. So if you're wanting to change the code in the activity, this is not the way to do it. This is just here. If you're in front of a classroom, you wanted to click a thing and just mess with this to change the code that the students see. So let's imagine you're going to clone the thing. You clone the course, and then you want to change the code. That is going to take, it's a little bit clunky now to do that, but we're still working on how to do that. So anyway, this little button is an improvement that I think bears mentioning. And the last one that I'm going to mention is that teachers can potentially delete courses. So it's a long story, but when this was originally designed, we had education research in the back of our minds, and we kind of didn't want to lose data. But I later learned that there's a lot of teachers that have very strict policies of deleting grade data when the year is done or 2 years after it's done. And so now, for example, I can take this course and I can just click delete and it'll say, are you sure? This is another improvement, by the way. It used to be you click delete and it just was gone. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And then it's gone. And now this account only has one thing in it. So we worked really hard over the last since 2020 to improve these things. I'm very happy to share these with you. We're still at it. We're still trying to make improvements, trying to make things more user-friendly, both for the teachers and to the students. And there's still things that aren't working quite right yet, so we're getting to the point where students will get an email if their activities were given feedback. That's almost working. Not quite yet. Teachers could get emails on Sunday saying, like, hey, there's all this stuff that you might want to look at and give some feedback. That's another thing that's on the way. Yeah, we're still just Google Classroom connectivity is another thing that we could potentially try to do. So we're still at it. I'm sure that in a few months I'll be back giving you more updates. But until then, please enjoy these improvements, and let me know if there's anything that we can further improve. If you want to get access to this site, you can reach out to me, and we'll make it happen. So this site is not free, but if you're a teacher out there and you want to try to evaluate it, we're happy to let you on to take a look. But yeah, and the price of this site is less than pretty much anything else that isn't free. So it's cheaper than Trinket.io. It's free for the discrete math teachers, but for other folks, it's ridiculously cheap. So I think that's about all I have to say. But thanks for your attention, and high five to everybody who came together to make these things work better.